Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our Rao Hospital's pregnancy web series, which we've been doing every Saturday at 4 p.m. Today, we have the topic today for discussion is the third trimester of pregnancy. So the third trimester of pregnancy is week 29 to 40. And you're probably, the pregnancy is absolutely well settled. You're probably doing your antenatal classes, exercises, and things like that. At the same time, like we discussed last time, all the problems, if somebody had them, like gestational diabetes mellitus or hypertension in pregnancy, or placental problems or growth problems, all these problems could continue into the third trimester, and they could be becoming worse for some of them. So let's see how to improve some of this and also the do's and don'ts in this particular trimester. Today we have Dr. Suganya with us. I'm sure you all know her very well by now. She's a consultant OB/GYN with a keen interest in infertility and obstetrics. So she'll be talking to us in detail about the third trimester. On to you, Dr. Suganya.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to talk to you about the third trimester of pregnancy. That's between weeks 29 to 40. So this is the last week of your pregnancy, and you and your family are probably quite excited about the arrival of your newborn. So I'm going to take you through the do's and don'ts during this period and the changes that you undergo and your baby undergoes, and what you can expect in your doctor's visit and so on. Now, coming to the changes the baby undergoes at this point, your baby is probably kicking and poking you at a very rapid rate. This is a time when the baby starts blinking, dreaming, it starts regulating the body temperature, and the lungs are not completely developed until towards the end, but the baby does show respiratory movements. And this is a time when the baby can hear you quite well. So it's a good time for you and your partner to sit and sing a lullaby or read a storybook for the child. The baby also now turns its position by about 34 to 36 weeks. It faces southward, which means the head is low and the bottoms are positioned and is ready for delivery. The cartilages of the baby now turn into bones. So the more calcium you take, it's good for the baby. So with these things going on, the mother experiences a lot of changes at this point. You probably were quite comfortable during the second trimester of pregnancy, but a lot of symptoms will come back during this time, especially back aches and a lot of achiness with the lower abdomen. This becomes big and puts a certain amount of pressure over the ligaments, causing you to stretch. So you can sit on a chair with your legs up. If it'll be definitely helpful. You will feel more zapped of your energy during this period, mainly because the uterus is physically growing and also because of the hormones, the demands on your body right now. Certain patients experience heartburn, that is becoming bigger and pushing the contents and the stomach upwards, causing heartburn. Some patients have varicose veins, hemorrhoids as well. These are just bulging veins in your legs and around your anus region. It is again because of the increased amount of pressure and all those veins gorging through. Now, coming to stretch marks, you will see that the stretch marks have become more prominent at this point. And you may even notice it not just in your lower abdomen, but also over your breasts, thighs, sometimes the buttocks also. As I said in the previous talk, there's really nothing that you can do to completely avoid stretch marks, but it is manageable with a good amount of oil and moisturizers. Some patients have a lack of bladder control. You sneeze, there will be you will spurt out a little bit of urine. What has to be kept in mind is that you have to keep your genitalia very clean, and you can use panty liners as well, because urine infections again is very common at this point of time. Now that the pregnancy is progressing, the breasts undergo a lot of changes because it's ready to feed the newborn. The breast may become much heavier, tender. You may even notice bluish veins over the breast. And breast can also leak a little bit of milk at this point. So you can use pads. Just don't overstimulate your breast. Gentle breast care and nipple care is also very important. And keeping it very clean is also very important. Now, you will probably have gained a good amount of weight by now. So it's better to consult your doctor as to how much more weight you need to gain during this trimester, because people generally tend to gain more weight in the last 3 months of pregnancy. So yes, and then coming to something called as lightening. Once the uterus becomes 36 weeks after it descends into the pelvis, that is your hip bone. So you can notice a change in the contour of your abdomen. Your abdomen now looks more fuller. And there can be swelling of ankles, there can be swelling, or there can be some pain in your wrists. And there can be very vague symptoms like constipation, heartburn, and even breathlessness, because your uterus is growing and is putting pressure in your upper chest, shortness of breath. So there's something called a sciatic pain. That is the pain which starts from your buttock and travels to your leg. This again because of the pressure over the nerves. If it gets too severe, you have to visit the doctor. But having a relaxed warm bath, putting some hot water bottles and all will definitely help. I really have to address this. It's about mood changes. So you might be worrying, will I be a good mother? Will I take care of my baby properly? What will the attachment be between me and my partner? And so many questions will probably pop up at this point of time. And see, depression, a lot of people have mood swings, depression. Depression as such is something that is very difficult to cope up with, especially if it happens during pregnancy, because pregnancy is expected to be very joyous. And if you don't feel that way, it is still okay. You can definitely go talk to your doctor. Your doctor might refer you to someone who can help you with this. Now I'm going to talk about what you can expect in a doctor's visit. So your doctor's visits will become more frequent now, probably every 2 weeks. And towards the last month, you'll be asked to come weekly if it's an uncomplicated pregnancy. If it's a complicated pregnancy, you might expect a frequent visits with your doctor. So during every visit, your doctor will check your blood pressure, your doctor will check if the fetus is growing well, if the height of your uterus is corresponding to your weeks of gestation. Your doctor might look at the swelling of your ankles and see if it is too much. And your doctor might also look at your baby's position, your size, where the baby is facing. And towards the end, the last one, doctor might also perform a pelvic examination. That is to assess your cervix, and also may perform something called as a membrane sweep also. So the vaccines, if you've not taken TT anytime during this pregnancy, you can take Tdap now. It covers 3 things: tetanus, pertussis, as well as diphtheria. It is usually better taken between 27 to 36 weeks. So if you've not taken your shot, you can. If you've taken 1 dose of TT, you can still go ahead with 1 dose of Tdap. Coming to ultrasounds, during this part of pregnancy, the doctor will want to assess the growth of the baby and will want to see the fluid around the baby, will want to check the weight of the baby, and also the blood flow. So again, if it's a complicated pregnancy, you might be asked to do these growth scans a little frequently. So if the doctor is anticipating a preterm delivery, or if you're at a high risk, the doctor might also advise you a couple of doses of an injection to help with the baby's lung maturity. Now, if you've not registered for your delivery with the hospital, please do register, because it always helps the doctor to know ahead about your history and about your pregnancy in general. And this, since your delivery can happen anytime during this trimester, you can discuss about the policies in the hospital regarding visitor visits, the visitor policies during delivery. And also it will be a good idea to talk about the package options, the delivery package options that might be available in the hospital, to avoid confusions later on. Now I'm going to talk about the do's and don'ts during this time. So diet, you'll have to take a diet that is plentiful in macro and micronutrients. So a diet good in iron, calcium, and with plenty of fiber and loads of water. And Yeah, coming to your supplements at this point will be again iron and calcium. You might be a little comfortable during this time now that you've taken iron and calcium for the past 3 months. But again, if your hemoglobin content is low, you might be given extra shots of iron or even injections. Now, coming to exercises, exercise has a lot of benefits during pregnancy. So if you've been doing exercises, don't be under the misconception that now that the baby is growing, you'll have to slow down. Please continue doing the exercises. It helps in boosting your memory. It helps to keep your pelvic floor muscles strong during labor, and also to a certain extent helps in post delivery recovery as well. And at this point, you will be taught a lot of exercises like the child's pose, the cat's pose, and also Kegel's exercises, which is just contracting your pelvic floor muscles. You can do this exercise at anywhere you want. Even if you're in a meeting, you go to work, you'll just have to contract your pelvic floor muscles 4 times, relax it 4 times, do it about 10 times when you're sitting. And so many, you can repeat the same for so many times in a day. So coming to sleep, your sleep might be disturbed during this point, mainly because of the growing uterus. You might be very uncomfortable with the position that you're sleeping in. So you can lie in your left lateral position or even in the right lateral, preferably on the left side is better. But avoid lying upright because now that the uterus is becoming big, it can put a lot of pressure on the veins below, impairing blood flow and causing shortness of breath as well. Now, coming to sex, is it safe in pregnancy? See, it's still a taboo and is not spoken about much, but you need to know that overall intercourse is safe in pregnancy unless you have some high risk condition where the doctor tells you to avoid it. But during this trimester, the positioning can become difficult and you might have thoughts like whether it will hurt the baby. Sex is not going to hurt the baby because there's cervix and the baby is safe inside a membranous sac. Yes, and now regarding the travel, travel is relatively, you can travel if in an uncomplicated pregnancy, but air travel again, certain airline companies have restriction on air travel during the third trimester. So overall, a safe travel is okay, but again, after 36 weeks, some doctors might recommend you to not go ahead with any sort of travel. So there's something else that I missed in intercourse, whether people ask whether having intercourse is going to kickstart the labor. Well, it is not going to kickstart the labor per se, but if your labor is on the way and is meant to happen, it's just going to help in speeding up the process. So, yeah. Now coming to a very important thing during the third trimester of pregnancy, that is the fetal kick count. So the doctor might ask you, especially towards month 8 and 9, to start counting how well your baby moves. So how do you do this? You can have a good meal and maybe after half an hour or 1 hour, you can take your clock and start timing it. You start counting the kicks. The kicks need not be big pokes or kicks. It can just be small nudges, flutters, swishes, rolls. All this can be considered as a movement. So you start counting that and you try to see if you can count up to 10 movements in 1 hour. Maximum is 2 hours. If you feel you've not had even 10 movements up to 2 hours, you can have a small snack or a juice. Try to lie on your left lateral position and try to do it again. If you feel it's still less, you have to contact your doctor. Absence of movements doesn't necessarily mean that there's something wrong with the baby, but it is a red flag sign. And it might need evaluation in some cases. Now coming to the don'ts of this trimester, definitely smoking alcohol and usage of illicit drugs is not okay. And do not take any medications that your doctor has not prescribed. If you're on thyroid medications, if you're on medications for diabetes, please consult with your doctor regarding, you will have to continue, but do consult before stopping it on your own. And otherwise, avoid extremely heavy travel and bumpy roads, preferably. So now coming to, otherwise, I think this pregnancy will be quite a very happy period also because You'll be doing a lot of shopping for your baby. Now that the baby is going to come, everyone is all excited. You might be setting up the nursery at home and all that. So you can, what you can do is you can arrange feeding stations, you can arrange changing stations in your house so that it's easy when your newborn arrives. And you can also make a hospital checklist as to what the things that you're going to pack to the hospital in case of, in case you start contracting or in case you have leaking or bleeding. So you can make a checklist which has your clothes, what you and the baby are going to wear. You can have breast pumps, you can pack your pillow, you can pack your favorite music, books, whatever is going to help you ease during the labor process. And you can also have a list with emergency contact numbers in case you're alone at home and you need to contact someone immediately or to rush you to the hospital. And baby shower is again a thing that happens usually at this point of time. So enjoy it, but then don't load up on too much of sweets and watch your weight gain during this time. Do join antenatal classes if you have not registered. In case you're doubtful about the progress of your pregnancy, delivery, you can join antenatal class. It helps a lot. And also, you can learn about the fetal growth, development, and how to help with the infant once the infant is born, infant CPR sessions, and massaging techniques. These are things that you can learn in an antenatal class. Now, coming to another thing, you can make a decision about whether you want to do stem cell banking or cord blood banking. See, cord blood is the extra amount of blood that is present in the cord of the baby. It is usually stored. It is useful because it has certain components that can help in curing certain diseases in the future. It is done by blood bank companies. You can talk to your doctor about what companies are available in your hospital and you can choose accordingly. The storage and processing comes at a price. So you can talk to your hospital regarding this much in advance so that you can be prepared during your delivery. Now coming to some labor and delivery signs during this time. If ever you have contractions, like it is different from Braxton.
Hi, I think we just overshooting time.
Okay.
Can we take the questions and then I think your questions and answers will cover a lot of this part of it. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Okay, sir.
Can we just, we have about 8 questions already that's come in.
Okay.
So the first question is, what's the benefit of joining antenatal classes?
Okay. So you'll have more knowledge about how the labor is going to happen, about delivery and about breastfeeding, taking care of your nipples. You'll also have an idea about how to help with the breastfeeding again. And also it's good in one sense because certain antenatal classes involve the father as well. So it helps in the father also to bond with the baby.
Sure. The next question is, I'm having a lot of aches and pains and get very breathless, doctor. I'm almost 34 weeks. What can I do to relieve the pain?
Well, these aches and pains are normal during this period of time. As I said, sitting in a chair in an upright position and keeping your feet over a cushion helps. And there's really nothing you can do because the center of gravity now shifts a little forward. So it definitely puts an amount of pressure to your back. So you can lie in the left lateral position. If you're traveling, you can get down, walk about for a couple of minutes and get back into the car. So try to keep yourself up and moving and rest when you feel like.
Ma'am, how do I know if my cramps are Braxton Hicks contractions?
Okay. So Braxton Hicks contractions are more irregular. You may not have them at a regular rhythm and they're spaced far apart. The intensity may not increase over time, but if it's a contraction, it starts usually with a lower intensity and it increases in intensity. The frequency becomes much closer and is more regular.
Doctor, we've been told my baby has IUGR. Should I be worried?
Well, IUGR is a condition where the baby doesn't grow up to its normal weight for that period of gestation. So there can be a lot of reasons why your baby has IUGR. It can be some placental reason, or you had an increased BP or infections, anemia. Anything can lead to an IUGR. There's nothing to be worried about as long as you're you're going for regular antenatal visits, because your doctor might want to do some extra investigations and frequent scans, and you can also anticipate a little earlier delivery if it's an IUGR baby, if the doctor feels the blood flow to the baby is getting compromised. So as long as you're regular for your checkups, it should be okay.
And how can there's the pubic pain be reduced? I think it's the same lower abdominal pain that you have during pregnancy. How can that be reduced? Oh.
If you have a suprapubic pain, first will be to look at whether you have an urinary infection or not. So you can go to your doctor, have a urine test, a simple urine test done, and if you have an infection, it's better to treat it. Otherwise, it is you can use some hot water bags over your lower abdomen and take a hot bath, so it should help.
Yeah. My cousin is having low-lying placenta. What are the chances of a normal delivery? Will there be any complications?
Okay. A low-lying placenta, there's a lot of controversy surrounding this, so whether the patient can go in for a normal labor or for a cesarean. But the doctor will do a scan and measure the distance between your cervical opening, that is the opening of your uterus, and the edge of the placenta. And if it is less than 2 centimeter, the doctor might advise you to go for a cesarean section. And if it is more, then I think it should be okay. But then it again depends upon whether where the baby's head is, what is near the placenta, is it the baby's head, so many other things to decide whether the patient can go in for a normal labor or not. But then you can expect a lot of bleeding during this time, either way.
Hi, ma'am. What do you mean by painless delivery?
Okay, painless delivery is when the doctor gives you something called as the epidural analgesia. So this is a small tube that is inserted into your back. And during labor, we usually push drugs. The anesthetist will push in some drugs to ease with the pain. So overall, you might feel a little relaxed, and your pelvic floor muscles also become more relaxed. It may not be 100%, you may not expect 100% analgesia or a painless effect with this, but it goes to a great extent in decreasing it.
Yeah, epidural analgesia, as it's called, I think it's very, very helpful. And I mean, each person's threshold varies. So for some people, if you get, this epidural analgesia, it can really, really help with the pain. And we've seen some beautiful deliveries happen just because of this, pain relief that you receive. Good evening, doctor. Can I try for VBAC? VBAC, for the rest of you, is vaginal birth after cesarean. So what she means is that the first delivery was through a cesarean, and she wants to know if she can have a vaginal delivery second pregnancy.
See, if you've had it only for the first time, if you've had only 1 or 2 cesarean sections, and the pregnancies are quite spaced apart, the doctor can advise you to go for a VBAC. See, if it is a successful VBAC, it definitely has lesser complications than that of an elective cesarean, but you should bear in mind that we're just going to be giving you a trial of labor. There can be a point when it may not be possible and you may have to be taken up for an emergency cesarean as well.
Yeah. So VBAC is, it can be a little complicated delivery, like she mentioned, and it may not be suitable for everybody. The best way to have a VBAC, I mean, we will take a lot of consents from you saying that, you've been explained a lot of things, because there are a lot of complications involved that can happen in a VBAC. But the best way for a woman, or the higher the chance of a woman having VBAC, is if she comes in labor and she's already about 2 to 3 centimeters dilated, which means the baby's head is gone in well, and there's a good chance for you to have a VBAC. So yeah. Anything else you want to add, Suganya? I'm sorry I interrupted you then, thinking we might be short
No, sir.
time.
That's it. I want to talk about the spontaneous onset of labor. It's the same thing.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I think this is the third trimester of pregnancy for all of you. If there are any more questions, please do send it in. Otherwise, I think we'll wind up the session for today. Thank you, Dr. Suganya. Next week's sessions will be held at 5:30 p.m. It's going to be a little different. It's going to be on busting the myths in pregnancy. So don't miss out. Please do join us. Thank you.